I want to welcome you this morning. I want to thank you for taking your weekend, your Saturday morning, to come and spend with us here at the School of Education. My name is Annette Campbell Anderson, and I am the faculty director of the School Administration and Supervision program. I've been here at Hopkins about 8 years, and in that time, I've seen our programs continue to grow and grow and grow. One of the things that I think I love most about our program is that it has so much flexibility built into the actual program that you can go as quickly or as nimbly as you need to go in order to take the next step in your career. So I'm going to get started. I have a presentation, and then for those of you who are online at the end, Tim, should they just text questions, or will they be able to?
Yes, questions.
Okay.
Moderator.
Okay. Oh, is that Jade? Jade, who I met today for the first time and have not met for a year. So I apologize, Jade. Welcome to the School of Ed family. Because we have a campus here in Columbia. We also have a campus in Baltimore. And so sometimes our students take classes here. Sometimes they take classes in Baltimore. Sometimes they take classes online. And sometimes it's like an amalgamation of all of those. So you are welcome. That's why I said the blessing of this program, the gift of this program, is its flexibility. We are not a cohort program like other schools of education are, which means you come in with a group maybe in your district and you have classes there. Our program is structured to be much more independent. So it is much more focused on people who are not in a cohort, who are not trying to be a part of a group that travels through a 2-year program. Sometimes if you go through our master's program, it will take you up to 2 years or maybe 3 years. You have up to 5 years to finish the master's. You have up to 3 years to finish our certificate program, which is hugely popular. So why don't I just jump right on in, and then you can ask me whatever questions you have. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. And I want to thank Tim, who is like always, he's always my ride or die on these presentations, because I always mess it up. Like I'll have the wrong presentation, it'll get stuck somewhere. So they always know to send Tim, who is one of our best IT people, to me, because I am probably the least tech savvy person around. Okay, thank you. Today, being a school leader requires an evolving understanding of the knowledge, the skills, and the dispositions to make sound leadership decisions that have lasting academic, social, and community impact. We have both face-to-face and online admin and supervision programs, both master's degrees and certificates at Hopkins to help prepare you to be highly proficient. So our goal is to make you highly proficient in the work that you are going to need to do to transition into leadership with expertise, stamina, and support. We also, for people who are in the independent school leadership world, who would like to go into independent school leadership, we have a certificate program for you as well. So, if you have come today, you have obviously been thinking about leadership for a while. You have either watched people in your district or in your schools who have either inspired you because they have been wonderful, or maybe, as in my case, having seen leaders who were not quite so wonderful, and wanting to understand how to do it right. And this is the place where you're going to get that background in the theory and the practices that's going to really help you to be ready to lead. So when we say ready, we're talking about being a reflective practitioner. What we often see is that we have practitioners who are responsive to challenges that are happening in our schools today. And what we know is that in order to really be a good leader, part of your leadership pedagogy has to include reflection. And so we want you to be actively reflecting on your work. Next is being an evidence-based decision maker. So much of what we do in our schools today is a gut response. And we know that that is not always. Sometimes that is a requirement because of the situation. But there is so much evidence in the field right now that we understand that we need to make sure that our leaders leave with a knowledge base and the capacity to access evidence for the work that they're doing. The next are the applied technology integrators, making sure that you understand how to use technology to move the work forward rather than be a hindrance for the work that you're doing in your schools. Diversity continues to be a challenge in all schools, in all settings, everywhere. Our schools are becoming more diverse day by day, whether we want them to or not. Here in the state of Maryland, for example, I can tell you that all 24 LEAs have now become much more diverse, and simply because we have a larger ELL population, a larger special education population than we had a year ago, and a larger number of students in poverty than we had a year ago. Every year those numbers ratchet up, and we see those in the farms numbers for public schools, and it's no different in our independent schools. There are a large number of students in our independent schools who are looking a lot different than independent school students of 20 to 25 years ago, or even 10 years ago. Finally, we know that to be good leaders means to understand content. And we want to make sure that you understand the content that you're going to be managing as a school leader. And so to be a ready school leader means being able to take on all of these challenges well. So our admin and supervision program will help prepare you for a number of school leadership roles, from head of school, principal, assistant principal, department leader, content specialist, perhaps on the instructional leadership team at your school, or another district-wide leadership role, because every district defines their leadership roles differently. And so we know that what we are giving you is the access to be able to navigate in your school or your district, depending on what role you're trying to take on. Question I get quite a lot. People have a lot of fear about whether they belong here at Hopkins. And it is a rigorous program. Yes, it is. People will ask me all the time, given their background, given their previous experiences, is Hopkins too tough for me? Is it a goal too high? I always say it is not, because I want people to go out into the world knowing they have the Hopkins brand, because that Hopkins brand opens doors every single day for people. And so to me, if you are willing to take the risk to undertake all of this additional rigor that you're going to be required to do, I believe it's going to pay off for you in dividends. So that is why I say our classroom, we have robust classroom dialogues and course activities, and it puts you at a distinct advantage from some of the other peer institutions. So I always say that rigor is critical for people, particularly when they're trying to get a leg up in a crowded field. The Hopkins degree matters. And my students come back and tell me that all of the time. I have a student, and I wish I could have thought to bring her here, but Rosanna, who was a student, she was like, I don't know if I belong. She had taught in Toronto, she got married. And so I said, you need to do this program. And she said, I don't know, will I fit, blah, blah, blah. Well, now she's sitting as the lower school head at the Cathedral of St. Mary Our Queen as the lower school head. Just because she'd had the experiences, but the Hopkins experience opened the door. We managed to get her an internship in that school, and they saw what I saw in her, and it immediately opened doors for her that got her to that position. I can tell you about a number of people just like that. We have someone who was a graduate of our program in 2015. I selected her as our Society of Excellence Award winner. She has now gone on to be the leader of school leadership development. She's the head of school leadership development in Baltimore County. So it happens all the time for our graduates, because the more that I get to know you, the more that I can think about where I think you are personally ready to go. But if you know where you're ready to go, it is only our job to help to push you out there and get you started. Value. Some people say, oh, it's Hopkins, it's going to cost $1 million. Well, not quite $1 million. But I will say that our price point might seem a little higher than some of the local institutions here around the state, or even regionally. But you have to believe, you have to understand that what we are delivering as a value is a lasting Hopkins credential. No one will ever be able to take that away from you, that you came through Hopkins, that you are a Hopkins alumni, and that you will continue to be a part of this Hopkins family forever, for better or for worse. So I think that you should think about the value of the program for your career in terms of the longevity of that. Networks. The other thing that I think that comes through is that our alumni frequently say that being a part of this Hopkins alumni network has really helped them, because there are Hopkins folks everywhere, places you don't even know. And some of you may have been recommended to come here today by some other alumni, because they say, I went through the Hopkins program, I think you should do the same. And so our new candidates often report that their colleagues have recommended this program to them. And then finally, I think this is key, diversity. The School of Education, if nothing else, we value diversity. You see it in our walk, you'll see it in our talk, but you will mostly see it in our actions. Our diverse student body is comprised of recent college graduates, ILT team members, classroom teachers, as well as experienced educators, counselors, and content specialists. Our online A&S certificate frequently attracts candidates around the world and around the country. Bless you, David. From Glenelg, Maryland, to Georgia, to Germany, to Greece. We have candidates from Maine to Moscow, to Maryland, to Mexico. So our program it's all over the world. People know our program across the globe. And so what we say is that being a part of this A&S program really does give you a world's view of education. Okay, so let's get down to some brass tacks. Who is the program for and what does it look like? For those who are in education with a bachelor's degree and public school teaching certification, we offer a 39-credit face-to-face master's degree in administration and supervision. Candidates have up to 5 years to complete the master's program, but many finish within that time period or even sooner by taking 2 courses per semester. You are allowed, whether you're a certificate or a master's candidate, to take 2 courses per semester. And our course semesters roll, so for example, they roll in 8 weeks online. There's 16 weeks in face-to-face, but they're 8 weeks online. And so if you're looking for the online program, you could take a class starting for, like, the last course started January 22nd, and then next week, so March 18th, we'll start a new 8-week cycle. So the online programs go within an 8-week cycle. In addition to our traditional face-to-face A&S graduate certificate, so we have a face-to-face and graduate certificate and the master's program, we have online course offerings for admin and supervision. So there's the traditional online certificate program, which is 6 courses. For those of you, for example, who wanted to start in the spring, you could start or in the summer. You start in the summer, you would take 2 courses in the summer, 2 courses in the fall, and you'd finish your final 2 courses for the A&S certificate online in the spring. So you can, the program, as I said before, what makes this program stand out, what is the juice of this program really is the flexibility to give you as much go-go as you need or as slow as you might need. All right, our certificate candidates have 3 years as opposed to the A&S master's candidates. They have 5 years. So our certificate candidates have 3 years to complete all of the certificate programs, and we're currently working on our Ed Leadership program for independent schools to also go online, but we have not quite finished that. Okay, getting through the program. Traditionally, all of our A&S courses are offered both online and face-to-face each semester. So spring, summer, fall, we have classes. What happens is, people need to get registered relatively quickly because classes do close. Our classes fill up. They fill up. So start thinking when you're trying to make your program plan, once you apply, if you get accepted, then our fabulous program coordinator, Liesl McNeil, she will work with you to make sure that you have set up your plan for how you want to get through the program. If there's trouble, she'll contact me, and the 3 of us can try to put our heads together and figure out what's best for you. But typically, Liesl is able to handle the program planning for all of our candidates once they get accepted, so you can kind of forecast where you're going to go. We offer our independent school leadership courses here in Columbia, and our A&S courses that are online typically, as I just said, have 2 starts a semester. A regular start, i.e. January and August, and then a late start, which would be March and October. And I don't know why I put August there, but I meant October and March. Okay. One thing you should know if you're interested in the A&S program is that the internship is not offered at all during the summer because of the requirement for the 200 hours. We used to, when I first started in this role, we used to offer it in the summer, and what I saw was that those candidates came out of the program with not as rigorous an internship portfolio to present to employers, and I didn't like it. So we stopped offering it in the summer. Now you can take up to 2 courses a semester. In rare cases, if you have a need to try to take 3 courses in a semester because you're trying to finish a certificate in 2 semesters rather than 3 or more, you can send me a letter and make it syrupy sweet, because typically I say no, but there have been occasions when I have said yes, but I typically say no because most of you are working, and this is a rigorous course course plan. I don't want to take away from your work, because then that's going to backfire, I think, when you get to the internship. So I tend to say no, but there have been times, I will say, sometimes there's a candidate that says, Dr. Anderson, I need to finish by the end of the semester because my school has offered me an AP position and I need to be done by then. Or they will say, I have been made the AP and I need to be done by then. So there have been times when I have allowed that. Some candidates choose to take 1 course a semester, which is fine. Others take 2. The other thing that you should think about as you look and you're trying to navigate entry into the program is you need to think about who you want to supervise you during your internship. Who do you have a good relationship with? It may not be your principal, it may be your AP, but it has to be someone who is credentialed that can commit to oversight of your work during the internship. So I would say that you have to make that decision, because people sometimes say to me, I really don't have a good relationship with either of those. I'm very close, however, with the department director in my high school. As long as they have the Admin 1 credential, we're fine with that. But it has to be someone who's going to commit to your success so that you can get through the internship. As I said before, the internship is the capstone. It is the most rigorous piece of this program, and you have to get through it. We have fabulous instructors who will work with you, but if they come to me and say, this candidate has not done the work for this internship and we cannot pass them out, I will not do it. I will not sign your graduation form. So I would say to you that and we have had candidates, not often, it happens maybe once a semester, given the large number of candidates that we have in the program. I don't think that's really odd. But typically there's one person who, sometimes it's a health challenge that just erupts out of nowhere. It happens, right? So then you're trying to figure out how to plan with those candidates. But if those candidates think that they're just going to run through this program and get their 200 hours and they don't have the documentation, they don't have the artifacts and the evidence that correspond with the P-cell standards that we follow, I don't have a problem. Because guess what? What matters most to me is that we have prepared you properly, because you're going to be in a school and you could be my children's principal. And that's what matters to me. Those 3 in the back. So making sure that we have leaders that are good, because you have to be so good as a leader that you would lead a school for my kids. So that's my standard. So I think that, and I don't think that's too much to ask. If I feel like if the instructors say, then we got to work on that. All right. And there's an orientation. So we have a wonderful orientation at the beginning of each semester for the candidates who are doing their internship to review all of those expectations. So it's not like you will get to the internship and be like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We have every single piece of this mapped out. We have a website that you will go to. You have a place to upload your logs. You also will submit things into a portal called TK20. That is what your instructors will use to grade. And they will come out to your schools. They'll meet with you and your principal or assistant principal, whoever you choose to be your mentor. They are called your site supervisors. We have fabulous site supervisors who have worked all across the state and in this area, who we send out with our candidates. And they sit down to make sure that you're meeting your 200-hour requirement. Whoops. OK, we did all this, right? Yep. All right, so this, do we have anyone here who's in TFA? Because I'll skip that. Okay, let's go to this, the ANS Certificate Program courses. These are the 6 courses that form the basis for the Administration and Supervision program. Organization and Administration of Schools, School Law, Effective Leadership, Supervision and Professional Development, Curriculum Theory, Development and Implementation, and then the ubiquitous internship. So this is for the ANS program. Typically, when you come into the program, you have the flexibility to take any of these first 5 courses in whatever sequence you want. That's another key feature of the program, that you have the flexibility to do what makes you happy. The only thing that I will say is that I frequently find that effective leadership is a good starting place. If you're coming into this and you're not really sure where you're going to start, like where to find your basis for understanding of leadership, I would typically say that I would start with effective leadership first and perhaps organization and administration of schools second. Only because they give you kind of the grounding before you start to fly, right? Effective leadership is about what makes a good leader. Is it a servant leader? Is it a transformational leader? Is it a transactional leader? So you're going to be learning about all those different types of leadership. And I think you really want to start here because it's going to make you think about your own brand of leadership. What are you bringing to the table as a leader, right? So that, for me, I think is a good basis, but you're welcome to start anywhere. I also say organization and administration of schools is a recommended second course, only because that is a lot about the processes around mission and vision, driving mission and vision in your school. If you're going to be a school leader, you have to understand the mission, the vision, and the core values of your school. And this is the course that's going to focus on that. It's going to drive you through a couple of key exercises that make you think about that and look at what your school has identified as core mission and vision statements and take it apart to see how it's actually being used in your school. I think supervision and professional development is all about the process of observing and supervising teachers and school members and the staff, and thinking about how you plan for professional development that's going to help make your school really meet their school improvement goals, right? Curriculum theory is all about understanding the theory around curriculum, why it exists, how it is played out in your school, and what are some of the issues. What are some of the key issues based on the curriculum that you have implemented in your school, right? So you're going to be looking at, if you're in the math department, you might be looking at your math curriculum. If you're a second grade teacher, you might be looking at wit and wisdom, if that's the new curriculum in your school. But it's all about the theory that underpins the choices of what curriculum you use and how that gets implemented and how it's measured, how we measure its effectiveness. And as a school leader, that's all you're doing all day, is measuring the effectiveness and the impact based on how it translates to PARCC scores or your ANET scores, for example. So thinking about that is key. School law, I think, is a fun class, probably is one of the more rigorous courses. So I typically say to people, you want to take, if you're going to take two courses, I would take these two first, and then I would take this one and this one second, or this one and this one. Yes, that's what I would recommend, but you're allowed to do it however you want. And again, just as long as your last course in the sequence. So if you're going to do two at a time, you might pick, curriculum theory and the internship for the final semester. All right. So here's an example of how you could finish in a year. You could start, O&A and effective leadership, for example, this spring. You could take 2 classes in the summer, and then you would take 2 classes in the fall. I think that if you're a student who gets overwhelmed easily, I would not recommend taking the internship and school law at the same time. Yes. So you could bundle these 2 classes, organization and administration and effective leadership, that'd be 2 classes. Then the next 2 bundles would be supervision and school law, and then the final would be curriculum theory and the internship. I just said, I think if you're very fastidious about your work, then it doesn't matter. If you feel like you need to try to get through in a year, but you're worried about your progress, I would say that taking school law and the internship together has sometimes tripped people up. I'll just say that, right? Okay. All right, the online course format, as I said, it's 7 to 9 weeks, typically 8 weeks that are facilitated on a weekly cycle. It's highly interactive in Blackboard. It's a balance of whole group, team, and individual activities and assignments. And you do have to have some degree of comfort with technology, but nothing more than if you can shop on Amazon, you can do this, right? We use Blackboard, Web 2.0, and TK20 as our platforms to facilitate the courses, as well as the SIS platform. This is a program plan for the master's degree. As I told you, if you're going to come through the master's degree program, your courses will be in a bundle. So you'll have the core courses, and then your first sequence of courses, which we just talked about. And then if you're a master's student, there's a second and a third sequence of courses before you finish your 39 credits, I'm sorry, to finish the degree. And you can also take some of these courses online. I talked a little bit about the internship already. The internship is taken as the final capstone course. Candidates typically complete it with the permission of their Admin 1 certified school leader. You have to identify your mentor before you have been given official permission to begin. Lisa will send you a form, the mentor will have to sign it, and we will assign a site supervisor to meet with you during the internship. Both the mentor and the site supervisor must successfully evaluate your performance in order to complete the program requirements, and this is aligned with the 2015 PSEL standards, professional standards for educational leaders. All right, people ask what's in the internship, what are some of the assessments that are part of the internship? It's your core, well, we go back to, that's why I said effective leadership is often the beginning, because we want you to think over the course of the program on your pedagogy. What are your core beliefs about leadership? You will also have a 200-hour requirement around your effort log with the artifact collection, and then you have your clinical supervision reflection. You have your mentor assessment, which is the person that you identify. You will organize and present your portfolio, and then you have a reflection paper as a part of that. Any questions about that? Okay. This is the certificate, which I have already described to you, which is for independent school leaders. Those are 5 courses that are slightly different. It includes leadership and curriculum instruction and assessment for independent schools. Independent schools are a little bit different because of how they're organized, their governance structure. And so we have a course called Governance for Independent Schools, as well as a course for Business Management and Finance for Independent Schools. And they're slightly different than it is for the public schools. So if you're in the independent school world, we also have a very popular certificate. We have candidates that come to us from places like Key Schools, Sidwell Friends, Gilman, from all over, who are part of this program here at Hopkins. As for tuition and fees, I can tell you that you need to probably check online for the most up-to-date information. I think Heisha's probably, and the young lady in red who spoke, she might be in the corner office or around the corner when you leave here if you want to visit her to find out about the actual tuition cost. But I believe that for this year, the face-to-face tuition is $774 per credit, and the online tuition is $840 per credit. Some of you may be in districts where you get reimbursements. I would encourage you to check with your talent development offices or human resources to find out what the reimbursement process is, because if you have that, that will certainly help to offset the costs for attendance. For financial aid, if you are applying, April 1st is the deadline for the summer semester. June 1st is the deadline for the fall. And then November 1st would be the deadline for spring. But we have rolling admissions because we have students coming in every single semester and in the middle of the semester. So we are going. I think our program is probably the most unique. I sometimes have to go to the dean to remind him and some of the other people in admissions that our program is not like any other program, because we are recruiting candidates all year long, and we have entry at 6 different points during the academic year. So there are some scholarships and grants available. Again, if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to either go online to apply or to see Heisha. They think financial aid has an office next door, but I would encourage you to go and visit them to find out what your options are around financial aid. All right, so if you have any questions, I also encourage you to follow me on Twitter. I have 540 followers on Twitter at Impact Grader. I think I'm very popular. My children don't think so, but I would encourage you to help me to raise my number. So if you want to follow me on Twitter at Impact Grader, I'm frequently tweeting about things related to school leadership because it impacts everything else that we do in the world. No one remembers a bad leader, but everyone remembers a really good leader. So lead on. Great.
Okay, I have a question from someone online.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we're going to know the answer to this one, but from Kimberly, she says, when do you anticipate the Independent School Leadership Certificate being available online?
Yes, we get that all the time.
Yeah.
So we have been working on that. I think what's a challenge for me is that, like, I am a one-woman dynamo. I do a lot of things in the School of Ed. And so we have been working. We've got like one course that we've really are almost ready to like send online, but we have to get the other 4 courses built out. So we are working on it. I know that we've had a lot of demand from people in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, New York State, Connecticut. We get a lot from the Northeast that are interested in trying to get online with the program. So we're going to either figure out how I can get someone else to help get this facilitated, because we're getting a lot of demand, lots of questions like that. So thank you, Kim, because we're getting a lot of questions about getting that uploaded. Any questions here? Yes, sir. Wait for the microphone. You're going to be famous.
So what are some of the advantages of getting the master's versus the certificate?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question, actually. So the certificate program is frequently for people, if you, for example, went to a school and they, or your district gave you like a master's program in biology for free, right? So you were allowed to go to with some kind of partnership that they had with the district, you were allowed to get a master's degree in biology or ELL or something in your district, and they paid for it. And now you want to be a school leader, but you don't want to get another master's degree. You could come through our 6-course certificate program and just get those 6 courses that you need for your Admin 1 credential. If, though, you only, for example, went to teacher ed school, undergrad, and then now you're ready for a master's, but you don't have any other credits, the master's program, the 39-credit master's program, is what is for you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Do you have a further question? Oh, yes, sir.
The Admin 2, I heard you say Admin 1.
So you have to take the praxis, and then that is when you're awarded the Admin 2. Okay. So we're not responsible for the Admin 2. That happens through MSDE. So we give you the stamp on your transcript. Once you finish our program, we'll give you a stamp. You'll take that stamp to MSDE, the Maryland State Department of Education, and apply for your Admin 1. They will do all the background on your credentials to certify that you're ready to get the Admin 1, including making sure that you've had at least the 27 months of teaching. You need 27 months of teaching on a certificate in the public schools to be eligible for the Admin 1. Once you have that, and plus our program, they will give you the stamp. Then, once you get the stamp and you have your Admin 1, you can become an assistant principal. If you want to go up to principal level, you have to have the praxis, and you have to pass that successfully to get the Admin 2. Once you do that, you get the Admin 2.
So you have to teach for like 2 years and what, 3 months?
You have to teach for three academic years. So from August to June for 3 cycles, 27 months.
After the certificate?
No.
I mean, after you received it?
No, it just has to be somewhere in the course of your life. So sometimes we have people that come into our program straight from undergrad, and they say, I know my destiny is to be a principal. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know that at 22, but some people know. So they come to us at 22, and they start their coursework, and they start teaching. And by the time they finish their coursework over 3 years, right? Or if they're in the master's degree program, in 3 years they finish their master's degree and they've had 27 months of teaching. You have to, essentially what they're saying is that they need you to be tenured in the state of Maryland to be eligible for your Admin 1. But if you teach longer than that, that works too.
I think you said, if you take 2 classes per semester, you'll graduate fall to fall. From one fall to the next?
Yes.
So what if
you could?
You could? Yes. But so how long would it take if you take 1 class per semester?
The typical student takes 18 months.
18 months.
The typical student takes 18 months in the certificate program. In the master's program, the typical student takes 3 years. So it depends. So what program do you think you're interested in?
The certificate.
Okay, so you could start this summer. If you have time, right? Some people don't. Some people are teaching summer school. Some people are doing world travels, which I wish was me. But you can start in the summer, take 2 classes over the summer, take 2 classes in the fall, and take the other 2 classes in the spring. Those last 2 classes, which would be the internship. And by next spring, by next May, you would be a graduate. Yes. Okay. Yes, I want to know, yes, she had her hand up next. We have time for everybody.
This is just a follow-up question, kind of to his point. So, and I don't know if I would have to ask you this or somebody else.
Nope.
So I taught in D.C. for 3 years. And
Great.
This is my first year teaching in Maryland. So would that count
Were
as
you certified when you taught in D.C.?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're done. Then you've satisfied the 27-month requirement.
Okay, so it
from
wouldn't matter if
MSDE.
it would have to be in Maryland?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. That's how we have candidates all over the country. You just have to have taught on your certificate. You can't. So if you taught in an independent school for 3 years and then switched to DCPS with your certificate, then we would count the DCPS period as month 1.
Okay.
Right? We can't count independent school time because they're different programs. That's why we have 2 different programs for 2 different profiles. I think you had a hand up next. Oh, we have an online question? Okay. Ooh, I am popular today. It's the red scarf, the red and white.
The first one, how long are each of the face-to-face classes in terms of hours and meetings each week?
So the face-to-face classes are 16 weeks. So they meet weekly for 3 hours. And so it's once a week for 3 hours. So typically they'll either meet here at Columbia or in Baltimore. So the Baltimore class, for example, might be on a Tuesday from 4:25 to 7 o'clock or something like that. And it just meets once a week for that block. Yes.
Second question, once we have our Admin 1 certificate, do we need to take CPDs to maintain the additional credential?
That's up to your district. So that's a great question. We are the initial certifier for your transcript, right? But whatever happens after that, because every district in every state is different. We have reciprocity with every state but Kentucky. So you can pretty much with any of the other states, you just have to check with I would encourage you to check with your state Department of Ed to see what those maintenance requirements are, because they vary from district to district and state to state. Yes.
So for the if I go through the master's program, would I receive the actual certificate with them?
You would get your master's degree, and then you would also get your Admin 1 certificate. Well, we would get the stamp that you would take to MSDE for your Admin 1.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And then I also had a question about grants. Do you all have any programs specific to grants?
I wish we did. We have, so as I said, we have financial aid. There are limited. So what I would say to you is that there's a scholarship process that is open now until April 1st. It is very limited. I would encourage you, if you're applying now, you have to go through the FAFSA process as well. Once you have done that, there's somewhere that you can indicate that you're interested in scholarships, and then all of that information comes to me for everyone who has applied for a scholarship in admin and supervision, and then we try to look at how much money we have and then try to apply the scholarships accordingly.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. So no grant specific?
No grant specific.
Gotcha.
There's a large pool.
Yes, gotcha, thank you.
Yes, I wish there was more grant money. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank you for coming. I will be here as long as you need to ask questions privately. If you have any questions, let me give you my email address directly. It is Annette.Anderson, ANNETTE.Anderson, ANDERSON @JHU.edu. I am open to questions all of the time. That's ANNETTE.Anderson, ANDERSON @JHU.edu. My cell phone number is 410-978-8198. I frequently am available by text. It's easier to get me than the phone. But text me and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I was at your presentation, can I ask you another question? I typically get back to text. I am so happy that they have invented it because it allows me to get back to people much easier. Typically, if I'm on the phone, I'm also doing something else. So please text me as the first line of communication, but email me because I'm also accountable to email and I will not leave you hanging. But if you want to get a response right away, I would encourage you to text me and keep texting me, and I promise I will respond. I do not like to have texts backed up like phone calls. So 410-978-8198. And that's day or night. You can reach me day or night. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited to meet all of you, and I look forward to answering any additional questions, seeing you in my courses, seeing you as a part of the program. Thank you so much for considering us, and we look forward to making you a future leader. Rah, rah. Good day.